Everyone, what's up? It's me again, Junkmaster 3. If you think this whole angle is a little bit weird, is because there is pretty damn many films that I need to go through today, and I just didn't have enough space on my desk, so that's the reason why I decided to make the video here on the floor instead. And sorry for the noise in the background, it's the fan going on because it's so damn hot outside and inside, so yeah, I don't really know where to go. Yeah, I pretty much feel like a vampire just walking around taking evening strolls or like night strolls nowadays. Yeah, that's reason why. Let's begin with the update video. Usually I try to show the DVDs first and then the Blu-rays, or I try to show you all of the horror films in one section of the video. But since there are so many films that I need to go through, that would just take up way too much work for me. So I decided to just show the films instead for you. I mean, randomize, if that makes any sense. Let's begin right away. Let's see if I can gonna start with this box over here. Yeah, I'll probably do that. First up, we have a film which sounded so stupid and hilarious that I just had to buy it. The movie is Attack of the Killer Donuts. Sorry for the damn glare, but yeah, I'm gonna try to do my best. This also has C. Thomas Howell in it, and I'm not really sure how big of a role he has. He probably just has some stupid cameo, because that's what happens most of the time when they like showcase like a known actor in some of those horror films, or at least like lower budgeted horror films. Yeah. Then over here we have. This is a film that I think I might have seen before on TV, but this was like years ago. The movie is called The Deaths of Ian Stone. I'm gonna try to do my best with the whole glare situation, but I think this is produced by Stan Winston, the guy who is most known for his special effects, like practical effects, and this is the same guy who also directed the Pumpkinhead film. I think this is one of the last films he produced before he sadly passed away. But like I said before, I think I had seen this before, but I have no memory of it, so gonna be interesting to rewatch that one. Then we have a film called Daniel Isn't Real. Some weird. Once again, when it comes to some of the newer horror films that have gotten released lately, at least in the last like 3 or 4 years, they seem to like the color purple for some reason. Mandy, for example, Color Out of Space. Daniel Isn't Real. It's something about purple for horror films nowadays. That's really weird. Now, the next film the next film I picked up was a film that I mainly picked up because it's a slasher film, and also it has Jake Busey in it, who is, obviously the son of Gary Busey. The movie is called Most Likely to Die. This looks more like a 90s slasher film, but I think this came out like just about 3 or 4 years ago, if I'm not completely mistaken about this. 2006, so yeah. Never seen before, but mainly picked it up because of Jake Busey. Then a film that I got recommended to me by one of my friends, a film called Come to Daddy with Elijah Wood. And I think Elijah Wood is really a great person, because he really likes his horror films, and you can really tell that, especially if you've seen the Maniac remake, which I think was a really good remake, even though I do still prefer the first one, because that movie just captures the whole filthiness and the atmosphere to the entire like New York City vibes from the early 80s, which is pretty hard to just recapture that type of atmosphere. But I still think Elijah Wood did an amazing job in that film, but really looking forward to see this one as well. Come to Daddy. I also like the movie appeared in that was released about 6 or 7 years ago called Cooties. Then we have a thriller by Wolfgang Peterson. The movie is called Shattered. Once again, this is a film that I picked up mainly because of the cast and because of the director. I don't really know that much about the storyline itself, but I think that's probably the best for some of these thriller films, because if you read way too much about them, you pretty much get the movie spoiled for you. Yeah. Then after that we have, let's see here, this is an 80s film, that's the reason why I picked it up in the first place. Beaches, never seen this before, but I've heard this is sort of like a feel-good type of film, so yeah, I thought, well, why not? Let's see if I can do this without completely failing here. Then this film I've been on the hunt for like ages. I don't think this has ever gotten like a DVD or Blu-ray release over here in Sweden, and this was the only copy that I could find. This is an Australian release, but I think it's region free. The movie is called Pump Up the Volume, with Christian Slater. Apparently Siskel and Ebert gave this 2 thumbs up, so that's a good sign, because yeah, I think those two guys were really hilarious at some parts when they did the old Siskel and Ebert show. I mean, I wasn't alive to see that because I was only a kid when those 2 guys were around, like when they were in their prime or whatever. So yeah, but I have seen some of their reviews like on YouTube like later on, and some of them are hilarious and some of them are stupid. So yeah. Now the next one I picked up is Once Upon a Time in China. This is the Swedish release. Surprisingly though, I think this was released not that long ago, and I already saw that this was gonna go out of print. So I'm like, why? What? This has only been released for like a half year or something, and then just vanishes. Maybe it just doesn't sell that good. So I'm not really sure. But yeah, never seen any of those films. But Jet Li is always Jet Li. Then we have this one I have seen before. This is one that I saw on TV like years and years ago, and I remember that I did like it, and then I rewatched it and I didn't like it as much because I thought, well, this is stupid. But yeah, it's still all right. Streets of Blood. This is another one I grabbed because it was gonna go out of print. So yeah, with Val Kilmer. I think when I read about that for the first time, I thought that was supposed to be like a slasher film, because I think I saw it on TV the first time, and when I did that, I thought, well, Streets of Blood, that sounds like a slasher film to me, and then I figured out it isn't really. So that was a bummer. The next one I think I had before. Maybe I just lost my copy, but the film is called Thief. This cover art is amazing. This is the Swedish title, by the way, on the front cover. This is another one that was going to go out of print, I believe, so I grabbed it. Never seen before, though. Damn, it's completely failing here. Then we have a film called... I'm not too sure what this is called in English. This is a Japanese film by Shinya Tsukamoto, who also directed... I think he's most famous for the Tetsuo films. But it's called, the original title is Nobi. This is a war film that takes place in, I think, the Second World War, towards the end of that, and basically the war somewhere like in Southeast Asia, I believe. So yeah, Nobi. Not too sure about the English title. I'm probably gonna put it down in the description afterwards. Then we have a film called Blood Relatives. This is another one that I think was going to go out of print, so I grabbed it. This is more of a thriller, I believe. Thriller drama or something, I believe. I think it's based on a book by some guy, but this has Donald Sutherland in it, so yeah, I think he's a good actor. Then I picked up a film that I have seen before, but I mean, I wasn't the biggest fan of this, but it has Klaus Kinski in it, and he's always creepy in one way or another. I'm just gonna leave it at that. The movie is Schizoid. This is so-so. This is probably a film that I need to rewatch because I was quite tired when I watched this the first time. But yeah, this is a part of the Slasher Classics collection. I'm just still waiting for 88 Films to release Fatal Games. That's definitely a film that I would love to see get a release by 88 Films, because that's a film that has never gotten a DVD or Blu-ray release. I have 2 VHS copies and 1 DVD bootleg of that film. So yeah, that's how it goes sometimes. The rest of these films in this particular box set is Blu-rays. So, and I really need to speed up because I see here I have even more movies to go through. So the next one is a film called Burst City. This is an Arrow release. I think this is some sort of Japanese cyberpunk type film that was released back in the 80s. Never seen it before, but Japanese cyberpunk films, it seems like they can be hit or miss, but they have a special type of atmosphere to them. Then I picked up Truck Stop Women by Mark, what's his name? Mark Lester? Mark L. Lester? Yeah, the guy who directed Class of 1984 and Class of 1999. Both of those films are amazing, and yeah, I'm a big fan of that director in general, so yeah, I figured, well, should pick up this one. I think the first film he directed was like a women in prison film, and I did not like that one that much at all. There are better women in prison films, my favorite one being Shade Heat, probably. Then we have a film called The Sender. If this is the one that I'm thinking of, this is the one that I just read a little bit about it and I'm like, well, this sounds depressing as hell. Better buy it before it goes out of print. Yeah, I don't know that much about it, but I think that's probably a good thing because this seems to be some sort of real mindfuck film. So yeah, The Sender. Then I think most of these are okay. It's 88 films and Arrow most of the time in the rest of this packaging right here. The next one is Scalpel. This is some sort of mix between horror and drama, I've heard. So yeah, pretty much a blind buy other than that. So yeah, Scalpel. After that, I picked up this one I've always wanted to see ever since I saw a glimpse of it on one of Red Letter Media's episodes. This has Cameron Mitchell in it, of course. The movie is called Raw Force, and this cover art, this is definitely a film that I would say would be included in any of like upcoming like greatest cover arts. One of those videos that I'm planning to make more of those videos. But yeah, just look at this cover art. This cover art is really great. So I think that's even the very original cover art as well. So I'm really glad that some of those releases comes with the original cover arts. The next one is a film called Hitchhike to Hell. I think this had like a Swedish VHS release, and I don't think it's ever gotten a Swedish release, so I figured, well, I should pick up the Blu-ray, like the Arrow Blu-ray. So yeah, I think this is some sort of rape and revenge type of film, but I can be so wrong about that. 70s film. Then this is like a triple pack or whatever, not a box set, but a triple pack. Recently watched these. Satan's little doc box, which has 3 documentaries in it. Damn focus, goddammit. 3 documentaries about Anton LaVey, not particularly Anton LaVey. One of them do cover that, but the documentaries included in this are Anton LaVey Into the Devil's Den, An American Satan, and Hail Satan ? I've seen all of these 3. My favorite one being Anton LaVey Into the Devil's Den, which pretty much is like it's like they talk about Anton LaVey and what type of like guy he was, and yeah, all types of things like that. Hail Satan being my least favorite because that film just went on way too much about politics than Satanism itself. So yeah, do not recommend that one. But the other 2 documentaries in that were pretty damn entertaining. The next one is a film called The Zero Boys. This is by that Greek guy, I believe, Nico Mastorakis. Yeah, this cover, once again, amazing to me. I don't think this is the very original cover. I think this is a newer cover art, but this also has Joe Esteves in it in one way or another. I'm not sure how big of a role he has in this one, but sounds interesting. Then let's see, I think I might have had this before, but yeah, I decided to pick up the Arrow because I wasn't sure if I had this film or not. The movie is Tower of London with Vincent Price. I think Vincent Price is a really good actor. I know my good friend, the Cryptic Cinema, isn't that big fan of Vincent Price in general. I just need to mention this in my video because that damn sentence that he's talking about, that's been on my head for ages when he said, well, look at Vincent Price. He looks like he can't even make toast. I'm a big fan of Vincent Price, though, don't get me wrong. I just thought that quote from him was amazing. The next one is a Vinegar Syndrome release, a film called Lucifer's Women. According to the back of this Blu-ray, they said that this film was never released before it. It was just basically picked up by Vinegar Syndrome, and it was never released before that. Maybe like VHS or something, but I think they had some problems with finding the negatives for that one. But yeah. The next one is a film called Decoder. I think this is some sort of German experimental type of film from the 80s. Yeah, 80s experimental films. That sounds good to me. Now, these are the last two in the box set. Then I have a whole bunch of other films to go through. So this video is gonna get really long. So yeah. The next film is called Cops and Thugs. I think this is by Kinji Fukasaku. So yeah, a big fan of that. I think this is Kinji Fukasaku, or am I completely wrong? Directed by Video Fukasaku. Yeah, Fukasaku. Yeah, some sort of Yakuza type film, I believe. So yeah. Then we have a film called The Guyver. I think I had this before, but I think I lost it or gave it away or something. I'm not really sure. But Arrow, when it comes to Arrow, they never disappoint. They always have really interesting special features, and they really did a good restoration of some of these older films. So and sometimes they also release films that have never been released before. Even though I would say 88 Films and Vinegar Syndrome are probably the better companies when it comes to releasing films that have never been released before, but I'm still a big fan of Arrow in general. So yeah, The Guyver. I also have the sequel to this one on DVD somewhere. I think it's like a really old UK release, DVD release. Now, let's continue, and I'm gonna have to speed up a little bit. Next one we have Cyber Tracker with Don the Dragon Wilson. That's the main reason why I picked that one up. Then we have John Woo's Once a Thief. This is the original one, and not the American. I think they made some sort of TV film after this one, which I've heard is supposed to be really bad, but this is the real deal, and I think this is probably the one that you should go for. At least, I mean, I haven't seen the other version yet, so I can't say too much about it, but when it comes to movies in general, I would love to get the originals before I watch any remake or reimagining movies of an older film. So yeah. Then we have a film called Freeway. This is with Kiefer Sutherland and Reese Witherspoon. Some sort of road movie, I believe. Then we have the very original Lord of the Flies. Unfortunately, I have only seen the remake. I'm a big fan of the remake. I mean, I think it's a pretty good film and pretty damn dark as well. I'm not really sure how dark the original one is though, but yeah. The next one is a film that, I mean, some of these films, and not all of them, but some of these 90s action or sci-fi films that I picked up, I mainly picked them up because they look so hilarious and so bad that I just have to have them in my collection. The next one is Alien Intruder with Billy D. Williams. Yeah, 90s sci-fi. Then I picked up The Russian Ninja, which is a film directed by Mats Helge Olsen, I believe his name is. He's like the Swedish, I don't know what you should call him really. I mean, he was a Swede that really wanted to make other type of films in the 80s. He made a horror film called Blood Tracks, and he did 2 or 3 ninja films, and he did 3 films with David Carradine. I think he was a really, I mean his films themselves aren't really the greatest, but I must give him props to try to make something else, because when it comes to movies from Sweden nowadays, it just seems like it's just a bunch of police dramas all the time. I mean, don't get me wrong, and there is still some good films out there from Sweden, but some of the newer ones are just ugh, no. Then we have a film called Neighbors. I think this was John Belushi's last film before he died of a drug overdose. Then we have Mel Brooks' Blazing Saddles, and believe me, believe it or not, I have never seen this film, but heard this is one of his best films, so yeah, gonna be a blast to check that one out. Then we have a film called Posse, not to be confused with Posse from the 90s with Mario van Peebles. What's his name? Mario van Peebles? Is that his name? Yeah, Peebles. I think you probably know what film I'm talking about, but this is the one with Kirk Douglas, and yeah, seems to be a really action-filled Western film, so that's the reason why I picked it up. Then we have a film called Water's Edge, and just based on this cover art, this looks like some typical action film, but when I looked it up on IMDb, it just said drama film. So this something tells me that this cover art is probably lying. So then finally I picked up this one. This one I've been on the hunt for like ages, and when I found this one, I was so damn glad that I picked it up. The movie is called World Gone Wild. This is 80s cheese at its best. Just let me tell you that. Then we have a film called Control with Ray Liotta under the same label, Men of Action, whatever it's called. I mean, some of these cover arts, they look terrible, but sometimes that's the only way to get the hold of some of those films. Then we have a very sketchy looking release of a film called Kill or Be Killed. I think this has the guy from Samurai Cop in it. I can be so wrong about that, but yeah. Then we have a film called Modesty Blaze. Pretty much a blind buy, but I'm a big fan of Studio S, so that's the reason why I picked it up. Then we have a film called The Silencers from the late 90s. Some sci-fi action type deal. Then this one is another one that I was on the hunt for. Run with Patrick Dempsey from the early 90s. Really hilarious and really funny film. Yeah, Run. Now let's see. I have 3 more stacks over here to go through. The next one is a film directed by Bruno Mattei. I'm not really sure how you pronounce his name, but the Italian guy. This is with Laura Gemser. The movie is called Violence in a Women's Prison. I've heard this is one of the filthiest women in prison films of all time, but I'll have to judge for myself when I watch it. So yeah, women in prison films are sometimes really interesting. Then a film that I'm not sure if I have showed you before or not. I mean, some of these are like, oh, might have showed you this in any other update video, but Cutting Moments, I saw this years ago and rewatched it like about 1 or 2 months ago, and I did like it a little bit more than I did the first time. The first time I was like, oh, this is stupid, but I think I only watched that particular short film, Cutting Moments. This actually has more short films, one called Crack Dog, Don't Nag Me, Bowl of Oatmeal, and Principles of Karma, and I've seen none of those before, so that's going to be interesting. Then we have a pretty well-known horror film called It Follows. The reason why I haven't watched it before is because once this was released, everyone was like hyping this up, like, oh, you have to watch It Follows, and most of the times when it comes to those type of scenarios, I'm like, well, I do not want to watch the film now because you've hyped it up for me. So I usually just wait a couple of years until the hype has just disappeared. So yeah. Then we have a film released by Massacre Video, a film called Evil in the Woods. Really, once again, really cool looking cover art, but I think this is some sort of shot on video film. I can be so wrong about that, but it's like a low budget type deal. Then we have Gothic Vampires from Hell. I mainly picked it up because of the title. The movie itself might be crap, but yeah, you never know. Then we have Demonic Toys, which I don't think Charles Band directed, but I think he produced it because toys and dolls, that's sort of his thing. So yeah, Demonic Toys. This is another one that I'm so glad that I found. This has been on my wish list forever, and I finally found it. This is another one that has amazing cover art, The Destroyer. This one looks stupid, and that's the reason why I picked it up. Sand Sharks. Then we have some Italian sleaze, I believe, from the 70s, called The Bloodsucker Leads the Dance, released by Nuta Films. Then I picked up this one because I thought this was quite hilarious and quite funny. Killer Rats, which was released in the early 2000s, directed by John Lafia, the guy who directed, I think he directed Child's Play 2 and Man's Best Friend, which I still think is a better, like, dog attack film or whatever than Cujo, but that might be an unpopular opinion. Then I picked up The Creeping Flesh with Christopher Lee and Peter Cushing. Then this one, Lost Shift, another one which I've been on the hunt for. Then after that I picked up this one. I didn't even know that this had a Swedish release before I saw this for sale, so I thought, well, I need to pick this one up now. A film called Fear City. The only negative thing about this film, I mean, I've not seen it myself yet, but I'm not a big fan of this director in general, Abel Ferrara. He's the guy who directed Driller Killer, among other films, and most of the films that he's directed I've been disappointed on, so they've been kind of meh. I mean, I haven't hated them, but I haven't liked them that much either, so yeah. Then we have some sort of slasher film from the late, is this 80s or 90s? I'm not too sure. Might have been the early 90s, but the movie is called The Rain Killer. Probably about some killer going around killing people when it's raining outside. Then we have a film that I've heard is supposed to be really sleazy, and the main killer, like, bears like a resemblance to Freddy Krueger. The movie is Night Killer. I think this is directed by, it says it's directed by Clyde Anderson, but I know that's Claudio Fragasso under a fake name, so yeah, Night Killer. Oh damn, I've been talking for almost half an hour now, so I hope you're not bored at this point. The next one is the film that I got recommended to me by one of my friends. I think this is like the very last film that William Friedkin has directed to date. And the movie is Killer Joe with Matthew McConaughey. Then I picked up Hotel Rwanda. With... I thought that was Denzel Washington for a moment, but it wasn't. Let's see here. What is this? Oh, I think I already showed you that film before, so no reason to show that again. Then we have a film called Naked Killer, some exploitation film from China, I believe. This is from... Is this from the 90s or 80s? I think it's 90s, I'm not too sure, but yeah. Not seen it before though. The next two films I picked up because of the titles, because they sound really stupid. Jurassic Attack. Really weird looking cover art. Yeah. And then this cover art is quite funny as well. Orc Wars. I'm not too sure if this is the original title of the film, but yeah. Then we have a film called Uncommon Valor. Never seen before, but always wanted to see, with Gene Hackman. And then we have a film with... Is this directed by... I think this is actually directed by Robert De Niro as well. The movie is called A Bronx Tale. Some drama film from the early 90s. Then we have a low-budget action film from the early 90s as well. Now we come to that section of the video when I'm gonna say, oh, a 90s low-budget action film. No Escape, No Return. With, what's his name? What's his name? Michael Nouri, I believe his name is. Then we have a film with Lorenzo Lamas and Gary Busey. The movie is called Latin Dragon. I think that's actually from the early 2000s. Then we have some Wings Hauser action, film called Cold Fire from the early 90s. I'm not gonna say early 90s because I think most of the films now are pretty much early 90s, some of them at least. Then we have a terrible looking, like, I'm not even sure what this is called now in English, just because the Germans decided to have their own title on the front cover, but I think this is Chain Reaction. It says it has Mel Gibson in it, but when I looked it up, it seems like he just has a cameo in this one. So, yeah, that's how it goes sometimes. Then finally I picked up the Naked Gun trilogy. Um, Never seen any of those films before, but only heard good things about them. Then we have a Clint Eastwood film called Sierra Torrida. Also a film I've never seen before. Then this DVD release, this has to be one of the very first DVD releases, like, not of all time, but it says 1998, which is quite a long time ago now. The movie is called The Retrievers. Just look at this weird looking DVD release, really old. Yeah, The Retrievers. Then I picked up Turbulence 3, Heavy Metal or High Voltage or whatever it's called, Heavy Metal Thunder. I think it has so many different names, but I do like the other two. I've heard this is supposed to be really stupid, but yeah, decided to pick it up anyways. Then we have Lady Jane Killer, another blind buy. Now the last stack, finally. The Mailman, some low budget 2000, early 2000 action horror film. I've always wanted to see a film about a killer mailman, so that's really amazing, and this cover art is amazing as well, but something tells me it's probably going to be crap. Then we have a film with Sylvester Stallone and Antonio Banderas. The film is Assassins from the mid-90s, never seen before, but yeah, I'm a big fan of Stallone. Then finally I picked up this one. This is the film I've been on the hunt for like ages, because this was overpriced everywhere I looked, and I finally found it for such a good price. And yeah, the movie is Street Fighter with Van Damme. I've heard this movie is supposed to be really, really bad, but I don't care. I mean, it's probably 90s cheese. Then we have Ernest Goes to Africa. This is one of the Ernest films that I did not have before. I only had Ernest Goes to Camp, Ernest Goes to Jail, and Ernest Scared Stupid, I believe. I don't have Ernest Save Christmas yet, but that's probably the next one I'm going to try to pick up. So it seems like most of these Ernest films are really like hit or miss. I mean, some of them are so stupid and bad, and some of them are quite funny. So yeah. Then we have Dreamscape, directed by Joseph Ruben, the same guy who directed the first Stepfather film. Heard this is a really weird mix between genres, like thriller, drama, horror. Yeah, early 80s on that one. Then we have a Terminal Force 1 and 2, schlocky, stupid 90s sci-fi film, probably. This one I've been on the hunt for as well for quite a long time, and yeah, I think this is a pretty underrated like vampire film, really. Children of the Night from the early 90s. Really recommend this one. Then we have a film called Otis, which was released by the production company Raw Feed, which I think they only like directed. I think they only made 4 or 5 films and then they just disappeared. I think it was Rest Stop 1 and 2, this one, and Alien, what's it called? Alien Riders, I believe, or something. So Raiders, I think that's the name of it. Then we have a film with Lorenzo Lamas again, Bounty Tracker. Then we have a film called The Power Within. Once again, I actually do collect, I think I might have mentioned this in like so many videos now, but I really collect that Replay, that company or whatever that releases these films, because most of the time they release really like obscure 80s, or not 80s but like 90s action films basically. So, and then we have another Wings Hauser film, The Art of Dying. Yeah, more Wings Hauser action, Living to Die. Film with Gary Daniels called Rage. And then this one, this is another one that I've been on the hunt for like ages as well. A film called LA Heat. I already had LA Vice and Angels of the City, and I'm still missing I think it's some sort of sequel. I'm not really sure how well these films are connected with one another, but yeah, the third or fourth film called Chance, I believe, that's the last one I need to get. So yeah, LA Heat. Then I picked up Zero Tolerance. Yeah. And then Repo Jake. I've heard some really like stupid things about this one, but it seems to be so bad it's good type of deal. And then we have Last Man Standing with Jeff Wincott. And then finally I picked up this one. This is another one that I've been on the hunt for like years as well. A film called Threads from the 80s. Also supposed to be really depressing. Then we have a made-for-TV film, I believe this is a film called Death Falls from the early 90s. That one I already showed you before, I believe. The next one is Nesula, the Rat Monster. Yeah. Then we have the amazing cover art by Vipco of a film called The Nostril Picker. I originally wanted to get the Massacre video release, but I thought that was a little bit too overpriced. So I thought, well, I should just pick up this like Vipco release and see if I like it, and then I might considering like tracking down the Massacre video release. So yeah. And the last film for this update is going to be a film called Attack from Mars. This is from the late 80s. So yeah. Now I've been talking for almost 40 minutes, so now I think we really need to stop with this video before you think that I've wasted like valuable time from you. But then again, you probably have just cancelled to watch this video by now. So yeah, hope you enjoyed, and yeah, keep your eyes open for the next video, and see you next time. Bye bye.